everybody, I'm Tom Vasel.
And I'm Joey Evans.
And today we're taking a look at Isofarian Guard, which is a very large box.
We only brought the cover.
Yeah, no kidding.
It's a huge box.
So slide in here
There we
now
go.
the box is no longer separating us. Isofarian Guard is a game where you are, well, literally the Isofarian Guards.
You're the guards.
You're the guards.
Which is odd.
You start off kind of a normal guard and you go off. This game has some unique things about it.
Mm-hmm.
One, it is specifically meant for fewer players.
Yes, 1 or 2.
Right. And then 2, it uses a poker chip bag combat system in it. And it is striving to replicate as best as possible like an open world RPG slash thing. You're playing through a world. You're playing a couple main characters, although those characters can switch in later campaigns. You play through campaigns. You're going to there's a lot of stuff going on.
There's a lot of content.
Joey's going to show you some of it.
Yes. Okay, I'm going to go over Isofarian Guard. Again, this one is there's a lot going on in this game. This is going to be an extremely high-level overview. So I'm not going to go into a lot of the details. We can actually watch a playthrough on the channel elsewhere. But this is extremely high level. I'm just going to give you a feel of how the game plays. Again, there are a lot of rules in this. So again, this is very high level. And also, I don't want to spoil anything as this is a campaign game. So again, high-level overview. First off, this entire game really takes place in 3 phases, right? So the first is the exploration phase. You're going to see here the different map. Now, you're going to be able to travel. They have miniatures in here as well, or you can use your chip, whichever you choose to do. You're going to be able to explore and move from node to node. The colors of the node are going to depend, or going to really choose what you get to do. First off, the yellow nodes, which you're going to see a lot, they're very common. That is going to require you to draw a chip from the bag. So they have a bag here, and you're going to pull chips out of the bag. Different types of chips in here. Now, if it is a skull chip, that means you're going to battle. All right, and then also a compass chip is going to lead you to a field event, which will go into the book that I'm going to show you in a moment. It'll kind of have something happen. Now, you also don't have to battle. You can exhaust action points, we'll get to in a moment, to avoid a battle if you do pull out a skull chip. Now, I'll show you later as well. These are the chips that are kind of in the game. There's a lot more over here, a lot more chips. But the chips are very good quality. I really like these. So anyway, that's a yellow node there. Then you've got green nodes you can enter here. You enter those, and those are safe. They're considered safe. You can use those for harvesting and mining and things like that because you can actually craft weapons and then all of that. And so then you can also get different things there. Blue nodes are water nodes. Those make a difference when you actually have a boat. Can you actually go through those? Now, these are the only place that you can have ambushes that they always happen here. And then orange nodes are linking nodes. Now, what are those? I'll show you in a moment, but there's also red nodes. Those are impassable unless the narrative dictates you can do that. But now, orange nodes. So orange nodes, say you go ahead and one of these orange nodes around Myrrh, that means you're going to enter Myrrh. And then you kind of have a subset of a map. Again, I don't want to spoil things for you so you can see what's in the city, but you have a subset of map to get into this, and different cities are going to be different things that you can take a look at. Then, for example, like in Myrrh, there are going to be different places you can visit. The blacksmith, you can visit the inn. The inn is where you're going to kind of heal up. You're going to get your health points back and all that stuff. But then also, you can also go to the blacksmith and you can build and kind of create and craft weapons with different materials you pick up along the way by harvesting, mining, or defeating different monsters. And then also there are stores where you can buy things. And all that is going to be in a book like this. Your city index is going to take care of all of these. Again, I don't want to go into what's in those cities because those are fun to explore on your own. And then also there's a narrative event phase, which is another type of phase. Those are going to be different things that will be placed down. These different chips that show either this, you can show a scroll, you can do a narrative event chip. Anyway, when you get there, there's going to be something you read through the campaign book. Now again, spoilers in here, but it's going to be, I'll show you quickly. You're going to read through, then you're going to get a decision to make, and then you're going to go there. It's kind of like you get to choose the role and where your guards are going to go. So all of that is in one of these books. There's several of these as a campaign 1. I think it goes up to 5. And there's also a foreteller app that can tell that story as well. So that's the narrative event phase. That could happen as long as you get to a chip. Okay, so the next phase is a battle phase, and this is really what the crux of the game for me is. First off, again, this is going to be a quick overview just to kind of give you an idea how the battle mechanic works in this. I've got Grigory here, and there are different people you can choose from as far as who you want to be in there, which guard you want to be. Some are available at the beginning, some you get later. And try not to spoil anything. We're fighting a Timberwolf now because that's one of the first animals you could be able to find, or monsters. We've got 2 boars out here, but there are 2 more because you could be fighting up to 4 monsters or enemies at a time. And also these guys are a little bit upgraded here. So again, without any spoilers, here's pretty much how it's going to work. First off, normally the guards are going to attack first, unless it's an ambush. But pretty much you're going to have a bag of chips. These chips are going to be built depending on your character here. So right here, because Grigory, we've got all different types of chips, a lot of black chips here. And we've got shields, swords, just like this. And then we've got a double right here, a double one. Now, some of these you get to start off, but some of these are because of upgrades, things you get along the way. For example, you've got a speaking stone right here. That is going to be in one of your weapons. See, the garnet, I think, is right here. And on the back of it, it tells me that once I've got this speaking stone, then these you get through various ways, I can drop this chip into the bag. So that's why you kind of build your bag as you go. And you will notice they are different colors, because the purple ones and the black ones will, when you refresh your bag, go back into your bag. There are also some green ones that you're going to get through various ways. Those are pretty much when you pull them, they are done. And those are over here. You've got fists, you've got evade, you've got heal, you've got more shields, things like that. Okay, so real quick, all these are going to go into the bag to start your battle. Notice I've got my leather gauntlets here. At the start of the battle, I get to add 1 fist into the bag. So I would take a fist token and drop it into the bag. And now I get to battle. You're going to see here, you've got my health, 22. My strength is going to be 4, and defense is 2. Now, 2 action points, meaning what? Well, that means I can keep drawing until I draw 2 black chips. So this right here, they only matter as far as black chips. So if I have a lot of green in there, I can keep pulling greens until I get 2 black, or equals my action points. Later, there are ways to add different action points. For example, right here. You know, I could get a green one. So if I ever, say, have 5 up here when I'm starting to go, well, I can keep pulling until I get 5 action chips. Or 5 black chips, which is great having that many action points. So let's go through what happens real quick. Reach in, you're going to pull one out, just like this. Here we go. We've got a sword, that's 1. And there we go, a shield. Very simple. So you're going to keep going through until you grab as many chips as you can. All right, so depending on how many chips you have out, you can activate your abilities, and you're going to see on here the cost. For example, this right here would be 1 shield and then an action cube, just like this. So I'd slide that down, and that would cost me a cube. And if I do that, I get to add 1 more shield to the bag. And the chain, that's another ability. You can chain different ones together, but you can discover that on your own. This would be a sword and an action point. This would be a sword and a shield and an action point. Now, you also notice these are here. They show a flip icon. Well, once you use this, in the cleanup phase, you're going to flip it, and that's going to give a different ability for your next round. So you're going to keep doing that until you spend both action points. And you can add things to the bag, or you can add some bad events to the enemy. You could add good things to the bag, or you can actually, over here, with the blade, you could just hit. This just costs 1 sword. You drop it on there, and then you hit. Now, how do you hit? Well, right here, it is a +0, meaning I'm going to hit for 4. All right, so if, for example, I would have pulled a green chip out as well, that right there goes up here. That is a +1. So now I am hitting for 5. Very simple here. That would be a 5. So all I'm going to do there is I take 5 minus the defense here is 1. So that is going to do 4 damage to that wolf and move the hit points down 4. Okay, and something else you can do is are these stones down here. Now, how to use a stone? For example, this cross slash. All to use this one, attack all enemies for hitting +1. Again, so that would be 4 + 1, 5. So he hits pretty hard. So I drop this on there, And I can do that ability. And this is the same thing. Draw 2 chips, which is great, and heal Grigory and an ally by 1. That's pretty nice as well. So in order to use these, what's going to happen is you put it there, denoting you used it. In the cleanup phase, it's going to go down here to exhausted. Next cleanup phase, it's going to drop over here to be ready, so then you can use it again. So it kind of has a cooldown period as you use these stones. And you can get more of these stones along the way. One other thing, too, is I mentioned that a lot of these different things, again, you can craft these. We crafted this bear tunic, and you could craft these, and those will also build up your bag. But also, you've got here, they call experience points Lux on here. So as you defeat certain things, you're going to get experience points, and you can move up this tree, which means you can put a lot of these chips in your bag, get more stones, things like that. And that's kind of how you build up your character. Again, I don't want to go deep into that. I want you to discover that on your own. But now let's go to how the enemy attacks, whether it's a monster or whatever. So you've already done your thing, and now it's the Timberwolf's turn. He has 2 action points. It's going to show his strength at 2 and defense at 1, 7. So we're going to flip. Timberwolf, choose target, self. So lick wounds, 0, no action points. He's going to heal 1. All right. Then track 1, and you're going to draw a card. So he uses 1, and then you draw a card. And it's going to, all of this is controlled by the deck. Then right here, choose target, self. This is nice. If the hit points are under 5, you're going to howl. Now what that does is that would add another Timberwolf to battle. So, which would be great, which equals the same rarity. So then you would bring a second Timberwolf over, and you'd be fighting 2 wolves, which is pretty cool. And then track, you're going to move that over and draw 1 card again. And you're going to keep going until you don't have the action points to go. So if I were to flip this, choose target, lowest, aggro. Now, I'm playing 1 player here, there's no aggro, but aggro, the chip right here, is going to go on the person that last attacked. So that's going to show where you're going to go. And then attack the target. Now, in this case, he doesn't have any action points, so he can't do that. But if he did have an action point, you'd attack at +2. So if he does that, just like this, wham, it's going to be 4. Compared to defense, that is going to be a 2 damage against Grigory. And then if an attack deals damage, then you do something else here. You can add some stuff to target's bag. There are also bad red chips that can be added to your bag. These are over here. For example, you've got defense -1 here. You've got attack -1. So you have a whole slew of pretty bad chips that do some pretty bad things to you. Now, say you do finally defeat this Timberwolf here. Just like this, you did a good job. It's going to show you on the back what you get. You get some experience, and then you also say you get a wolf pelt on this, which a wolf pelt you can use to craft things later at the blacksmith or different towns you go into. Everybody has different options you can do. As far as monsters, your monsters, there's 2 of these boxes like this that have all the different monsters in there that you can find. Also, some bosses are in there as well. And you're going to have this box here that have the materials. That's going to be things you can craft by different materials you find along the way. So that's a quick and dirty on how to play. There are also different ways here that you can kind of reorganize. It costs action points and things, and different things you can do on your way. And you're going to keep going until somebody is down to 0. You can also retreat if you need to, but you don't gain any rewards that way. And your HP equals 0. Now, if you also fall in battle, you're not dead. You're going to go ahead back to the last checkpoint or whatever, but you do lose some stuff. So that's pretty much it. What's nice is there is a good player aid that shows you everything you go through, guard's turn, enemy's turn, and then cleanup phase. All right, so again, that is a very high-level overview. I really flew through a lot of it, but that's just to kind of give you a feel about it. It's pretty much going to be drawing these chips, and I will say, at the beginning, it feels kind of like, oh, I drew 2 black, but then later, you're going to be getting 5 or 6 chips out there, dropping them, and start to kind of chain a lot of these. Well, actually used with Grigory, you can chain a lot of these and really do some great hits out there to whoever is in front of you. And as you can see, there's a lot of content in this box. There are books, there are maps, there's a lot of different things made by, I think it's, let's see here, Game Trays. Yeah, so it's really nice as far as these go. And then the chips, very nicely done. So there's a lot of content in there, but that's a quick overview. Let's send it back and see what we thought about it.
Okay, first of all, before we start this, I want to be clear that this game is so big It's one of the biggest games I've ever been involved with that at best I think you can look at this as a first impressions for me rather than a complete review because I haven't seen everything. And I cheated and looked ahead at different things so that I could be more fully ready for this. This is a big game. First of all, it's big in size. I'm not kidding. This is uncomfortably annoying to carry around. I'm not that's not me being, oh, I'm a weakling. This is it doesn't fit on most shelves. It's heavy. Really heavy. If you're going to take it to your friend's house, it's heavy to carry it out, and you can laugh and say, oh yeah, but it's a board game, right?
It doesn't make any sense. Like I was holding it, I told Zia, like, this is heavy. He goes, okay, let me hold it, and I hand it to him, and he goes, oh, and he's like, I was not prepared. It is insane, the weight of this.
Yeah, so if this is, and then you say, well, this played at your house, and that's fine, and that's probably what it's for because it's one or two players. But just keep that in mind. I just wish it wasn't. Not only is it heavy, it's a lot to pull out, and unpack, and I mean that not just in packing. And they have a way to save stuff to some degree, but there's a rule book and a campaign book and a city index, and there's another index, and there's players. There's a lot going on. Now, to counter that. It's not particularly complicated to play.
It is not. Now, let me touch on the player count thing, because at first I thought that was a big detriment, 1 to 2. But his whole reasoning is the fact that it's hard to get 4 people together consistently for a campaign game. And I want to argue that, but I cannot.
No. I'm all for that. And my favorite time to play through campaign games is often with 2 players. So that's not a problem. But when it comes to complexity of the game, I feel that it's on the same level as, say, Gloomhaven.
Yes, yeah, I see that.
And the argument will be made by fans that it's not that complex. The combat's easier, this is easier, this is easier. And on that I agree, but moving around on the board and the number of different things and crafting items and doing puzzles, and there's so much that you're going to be constantly going back and forth in the rule book to look at this stuff. Once you learn it, that's better. I would argue there's something I do not like. I do not like that the city index has rules for the city in it. So I'm looking here, then going back here, then going over here. And even, there's a bit of that in the campaign book. Now, let's talk about that. Story. This game is partnered with 4 Tower. They don't even pretend on that. They're like, you please use 4 Tower because there's music and really good voice acting. I'm mixed mind there. I kind of like to read my own. If I was playing solo, I wouldn't use 4 Tower at all because I can read way faster. And there's a ton of text in here.
There is. And you speed read, so that's a little bit different.
Sure. Well, everyone reads faster than you hear out loud.
I agree.
So, and there's a lot. Like, if you look, for example, here, and I'm not really spoiling it, but this here is a section, and that you make a decision, and after you read this page, you now read this page before you do anything else. That is a lot.
It is, and you can see we have a playthrough on the channel where you can see we did both. We read through it once and had the foreteller. I will say it's a difference between, like, Tom likes to read. I like graphic audiobooks that have like actors playing each part, then you have sound effects and all that.
Sure.
I think for me that's immersive, and that gave me that graphic audio feel, to play.
I'm not even saying anything negative about it. I think it's awesome that that's all there. I just would prefer to go through, but you need to know there is a lot of story.
Text.
I think the story is fine. The only thing I don't love about the story is that I dislike is, for me, it's jarring to have the points of view switch back and forth. Sometimes the point of view is from one guard, sometimes it's from the other, but they'll say, you do this, you do that. It doesn't say Gregory does this and Alec does this. It doesn't go back and forth like that. It says, you do this. I'm like, oh, it's coming from this point of view. Now we're back to the other one. Not a huge deal. Especially when you're playing with 2.
Right.
Because I'm like, this one is pointed towards you.
Yes.
Except now you're going to hear my character talk.
Right.
Yeah, it's fine. And also, your characters are not your own. You don't control how they act or react. You do make decisions, but they're going to get angry and sad and do all this stuff regardless of you.
Yeah, and you mentioned before, it is open world to an extent, but the story is semi-linear.
Yeah. I mean, it's open world, but they're like, you should go here. Because if you don't go there, you're going to go around and have random encounters. And there is a quest. That's another book. A quest book. And there are things. But yeah, you're following a basic story. And I'm okay with that. Because open world is cool. But
I mean, there are enough side quests to keep you busy on that, too.
Yes. So the game has various features. It has puzzles. Slide puzzle type things.
Yes.
If you like the game Robo Rally, they've turned that into a puzzle.
It does feel like that. Tom jumps ahead to puzzles, by the way. He's like, that puzzle looks good.
Well, I wanted to know what puzzles do. I think they're fine. You also have to determine what you like. Because do you like crafting? If you like crafting, you're going to love this game.
Yes.
Go out and hunt this to get the wolf pelt, to go over here to pick the marigolds, and then mix them together with some fairy dust, and you have this sword. That's kind of cool. But if you don't like that, that could feel tedious, I think, to go hunt all that stuff down.
Well, that enables like people to say like it has a grind, because it does. When you go to the blacksmith and you see, well, I really want that. Well, I need to go hunt that animal or find that resource to come back and get that created. It gives you that that Zelda style feel to be able to kind of grind. And you know what? This time I'm going to be prepared for this.
Now, let me tell you, the best part of the game is the combat.
My goodness, it's great.
Straight up. Combat is a focus of these games, and this one with the poker chips and temporary poker chips that come out when you pull them, negative poker chips which hurt you when you pull them, mixed with a card flipping system.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
And it's pretty smooth. It's
is.
fun. It takes combat from being tactical in a sense of positioning.
Right.
They're abstracting out the positioning of it. But they're putting it down, and it for lack of better words, it's fun. The luck is the poker chips that you pull, but you get to make some fun decisions and decide if I want to flip this card and use this power to do this. And if you're playing with two players, I feel like the two characters are very good at supplementing each other.
I agree.
And it's by far my favorite part of the game.
It's so fun to the point it's a detriment to my story when I know I probably shouldn't fight, but I want to fight. So I will just be like, we're going to fight again. And it's almost engine building the way that when those cards flip, you want to get that kind of system going so you're ready for that just mega round.
And it's fine in the regards that when, like, if you watch our playthrough that we did online, I remember very specifically where it was like 2 guards and then 2 guards again, and 2 guards again. And normally I'd be like, set up the board again. But here at least you can throw things in and fight again. There is a bit of repetition in that.
There is.
And I found that the events when you go around, sometimes you're like, we're fighting the same monster again.
Right.
I might, again, fast forward through some of that because the only reason to have that combat is to see how many wounds you go into the next combat with. You know, if that makes sense. But combat's so fun that I can forgive that a little.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, you go back to the end to heal. I don't know if I mentioned that in the overview or not, but then to heal up. But also one thing is you can skip the battles if you want to by getting rid of action points and things, which is honestly a good move if you don't want to fight that again, which it's hard to do because I just like fighting.
Sure, but I mean, at a certain point, if you're looking for other things.
Right.
So you have this combat, you have the towns, you have a bit of a living, breathing world here that you're going through.
You do, and I also like how you enter those, I think, orange nodes or whatever, and then all of a sudden you switch to that town map, and you get that feel of going around the different towns, which each have their own kind of feel. Yeah. I do enjoy that.
I feel like this is a huge game.
It is.
It's astounding to me that online right now there's like a Kickstarter for even more content.
Right.
And there's no way, unfortunately, picking a game to play through that game is a tough thing. This is one that you are going to make a fixture in your home.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to carry it anywhere.
Right.
It's one for 1 or 2 people, but it works really well. My negatives are setup is a bit.
Mm-hmm.
The story can be a little overly long, and if you lose, I definitely don't want to read the story again the second time through.
Right, yeah.
To go back. And there's some minor things like sometimes I'm like, well, combat's fun, but why are we wasting time doing a whole combat to fight a cat, like a wild cat or something? But my positives are combat system's amazing.
So good.
Foreteller's done really well. The components of the game across the board are really good.
They are, and the game trays inserts, like you mentioned, setup. It has a game trays that speeds it up, but it's still there.
Yeah, but I do like the component quality. Yeah. The story is, I find the story okay. This is probably just a me thing. Like I want it. This is like not grimdark, but grim bright.
It is. Yes. Yeah. It's a little bit brighter than grimdark. Yeah.
But they're not uber cheerful people going around. There's a lot of bad things happening. But it's a somewhat interesting story. But the upgrades and all the art in it, I think, are fantastic. So for me, overall, I give this one an 8. If I went through the whole campaign and this was the only game I played, I might give it higher. So keep that in mind, right? As reviewers, we have to play a lot of different games. I don't get to play every game to its completion. This one I would consider doing that with. And for those of you who get it, that is an awful ton of content.
It's a lot. Yeah. For me, I'm coming in higher. I'm coming in at a 9 on this because I really I love the combat of this. I like the hex-based, I think, Oathsworn type thing, but this makes me not miss that. I love that bag pulling. I like building that bag, getting ready, and I like the foreteller because, again, I listen to books with graphic audio. This gives me that same feel, but instead I have like kind of a narrative choice on that. This is one that, again, to negate setup, this is one I would keep set up at my house, kind of underneath that tabletopper, and then just go back to it. So, again, I also like the fact that it's 1 or 2 players. I think that works out really well for a game this size.
Well, if you finish, you have to come back and give us opinions when it's done.
Oh, if I finish it. When we finish it.
I set them up, folks. There you go. All right, so that's Isofarian Guard.
Woo.
Check it out. I'm Tom Vasel.
I'm Joey Evans.
We'll see y'all next time.
Hey folks, thanks for joining us for that video. If you haven't yet, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hey, make sure you check out what's happening where I'll cover an app on an iOS or a Switch device, and you can check it out along with me. Thanks very much. You've been watching The Dice Tower.